The cool, unyielding plastic of the wristbands contrasts sharply with the rough fabric of my jeans. I grip them tighter, feeling the weight of past vacations pressing down on me. I sit in the waiting area of Grady ER, watching the hustle around me. The sharp sound of a wheelchair scuffing against the floor catches my attention. It reminds me of how much I've been pushing myself for everyone else. Samuel's knee bounces beside me as he scrolls through his phone. His anxiety radiates off him, a palpable energy that fills the space between us. I glance at him and can't help but think about our trip to the Bahamas last year, the one I could barely enjoy because Marcus was too busy with work calls. I sit in the waiting area of Grady ER, watching the hustle around me. The sharp sound of a wheelchair scuffing against the floor catches my attention. It reminds me of how much I've been pushing myself for everyone else. Samuel's knee bounces beside me as he scrolls through his phone. His anxiety radiates off him, a palpable energy that fills the space between us. I glance at him and can't help but think about our trip to the Bahamas last year, the one we could barely enjoy because Marcus was too busy with work calls. The thought churns in my stomach like a storm gathering strength. I sold that timeshare 2 weeks ago, an act both liberating and terrifying. As much as I wanted it gone, the guilt still clung to me like a second skin. "Are you okay?" Samuel asks, looking up from his screen briefly. There's concern etched across his brow, but it's not just for me, he carries his own burdens too. "I'm fine," I say, forcing a smile that doesn't quite reach my eyes. The truth is more complicated, buried beneath layers of family obligation and expectation. My mind drifts back to those plastic wristbands again, reminders of vacations that turned into financial traps and disappointments. Each one signifies a hope for relaxation that never panned out. Maybe selling it was the only way to reclaim something resembling peace. As if sensing my thoughts, Leonard walks in with Denise by his side. He looks disheveled, as though sleep has eluded him for days. His shoulders slump under the weight of unspoken troubles, while Denise fidgets with her necklace, a small silver anchor pendant that seems to symbolize her attempt to stay grounded amidst chaos. "Where have you been?" I asked, attempting to mask my irritation with forced cheerfulness. Leonard meets my gaze, and his expression shifts. There's an urgency behind his eyes that tells me something isn't right. He meets my gaze, and his expression shifts. There's an urgency behind his eyes that tells me something isn't right. "We had to take care of some things," he replied evasively. Denise shifts her weight from one foot to another, gazing around the room as if searching for an exit rather than being present with us. The sensation of tension wraps around us all like a tight band. "Mom!" Marcus's voice cuts through the air like glass shattering. He strides toward us with purpose, his hands shoved deep into his pockets. "What is it?" My heart races at the sight of him. He looks serious, more serious than usual. He pulls out his phone and shows it to me without saying anything further. A message flashes on the screen. "We need to talk." The words feel ominous against the backdrop of our already taut family dynamics. "Who sent this?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady while uncertainty bubbled under my skin. "Serena," Marcus says quietly before lowering his gaze and shifting on his feet, as though they're suddenly too heavy for him. "Serena?" My gut twists sharply at the mention of her name. She always seemed full of secrets wrapped in charm. What does she want? The questions swirl in my mind faster than I can process them. "She wants to discuss, family matters," he adds hesitantly. My pulse quickens at this revelation. It feels as if we're standing on a precipice about to topple into an abyss we can't fathom yet. Family matters usually mean trouble brewing beneath a surface already strained thin by years of hidden resentments and expectations unmet. "I need answers before we get pulled deeper into whatever this is," I declared resolutely, feeling every fiber in my being urging me forward into confrontation, instead of retreating into confusion again. As each face around me hardens with concern or curiosity or both, I know decisions must be made now, right here in this moment, before everything spins further out of control. My decision stands. We'll confront Serena together. My words hang heavily in the air like smoke after a fire. the aftermath yet unresolved and thickening with each breath drawn in uncertainty. The ripple effect begins instantly. There's no turning back now from what's set in motion as Leonard nods slowly, while Samuel exhales deeply beside me, as if finally releasing pent-up fears he had kept suppressed until now. But even as resolve settles over us like a blanket meant for comfort, dread lingers just beyond reach, a darkness waiting patiently nearby for its moment to strike without warning or reason beneath our fragile hopes. What secrets lie ahead when Serena arrives? The air shifted as the door swung open. A gust of cool air followed Serena in. She looked disheveled, her hair tousled like she had just run here. My stomach twisted as I tightened my grip around the plastic wristband on my wrist, the synthetic material biting into my skin. "Did you get my message?" she asked, breathless. I could hear the faint tremor in her voice, a mixture of urgency and anxiety that made me wary. "I did," I forced myself to make her gaze. A rush of memories flooded in, timeshare presentations filled with rehearsed smiles and hollow promises, but now they felt distant compared to the concern brewing in her eyes. "What's going on?" She stepped forward, glancing around as if someone might be eavesdropping. "She needs to talk about the sale," she said, lowering her voice. The way she fidgeted with her own wristband caught my attention. I realized how tightly we were both tethered to this decision, a choice that seemed like a lifeline but felt more like a noose. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself as unease prickled at my fingertips. We agreed it was best for everyone. I felt a slight flutter in my chest, a protective instinct roaring to life against whatever revelation she was about to unleash. "There are things you don't know," she replied sharply, glancing back toward the entrance as if expecting someone else to enter any moment. "Someone has been asking questions about our agreement." Her words hang heavily in the air, each syllable constricting my throat further. Questions? About what? My mind raced back through all our conversations and negotiations, the small print that we thought we understood so clearly. "It could affect everything," she stated flatly. I hesitated, feeling like I was balancing on a tightrope strung between uncertainty and fear. "Do you think it's because of the timeshare, or—" My voice trailed off as I sensed an invisible wall building between us, information withheld like an unspoken secret threatening to unravel everything. Serena sighed deeply, rolling her shoulders back as if bracing herself for impact. "It's not just business anymore, it's personal," she whispered. The weight of those words pressed down on me like thick fog, every nerve ending tingling with worry. In that moment, without fully understanding why, I decided I couldn't let this slip away again. "We have to find out who's behind this," I asserted firmly while stepping closer to her, needing her reassurance and support. She met my gaze with surprise, but quickly masked it with resolve. Something about our shared commitment ignited a spark inside me. Was this how betrayal lingered in silence? Before Serena could respond, the door creaked open again and another figure emerged from outside. Not just anyone, but someone we both recognized too well. The sudden jolt of recognition sent an icy shiver down my spine. Caught by their appearance, I felt adrenaline surge through me. What would they reveal? This new player in our game could shift everything once more, as secrets loomed large above us like dark clouds ready to burst open at any moment.
The clipboard feels rough against my palm as I grip it tightly. Each edge digs into my skin, reminding me how much weight a single piece of paper can carry. The waiting room is filled with whispers and nervous laughter, but all I hear is the rustle of the clipboards in my hand. My heart races as I think about the calls I've received since selling the timeshare. It was supposed to be a relief, yet here I am, caught in a web of old connections resurfacing. When the phone rang this morning, I hesitated before answering. The familiar voice on the other end belonged to Denise, a long-lost friend from college. She had called not to reminisce, but to discuss something troubling regarding Serena and legal matters tied to our past. I shift my weight from one foot to the other, feeling the cool floor beneath me. The urgency in Denise's voice triggers a knot in my stomach. Her words tumble out like falling leaves, each one more disconcerting than the last. A lawsuit? How could that possibly involve us after all these years? As I listen intently, I notice Marcus across the room. He holds a clipboard too, glancing at it nervously while bouncing his knee against the leg of an empty chair. His body language mirrors my own anxiety. We are both trapped between memories and current realities. Denise reveals that Serena is facing serious accusations regarding funds mismanaged during our college days, money that initially seemed innocuous, but now threatens to unravel everything we thought was settled. I tighten my hold on my clipboard as if it can absorb some of this chaos. I need clarity amidst this confusion. Denise, I say firmly, I need to see these documents and understand what's happening. Taking control feels essential right now. The weight of responsibility settles on me like a heavy coat. After hanging up, tension grips my chest tighter than before. I glance at Marcus again. He's looking for answers too. Something unspoken hangs between us, a shared history we can't ignore despite its complications. As if sensing my gaze, he turns slightly and asks about Denise's call. Did she mention anything about Serena? His brow furrows with concern and curiosity. This isn't just family drama, it's something bigger than us now. Just that there's a lawsuit involving her, I reply softly, careful not to reveal too much too soon. Marcus runs a hand through his hair in frustration, and I can tell he feels the implications weighing heavily on him as well. It stings to know how intertwined our lives still are with decisions made decades ago. Every choice seemingly leading up to this moment, now displayed in stark contrast on these clipboards we cling to like lifelines. I have to talk to Serena, I finally decide aloud, steeling myself for whatever truth she holds, or maybe even hides from me. If there's any chance of clearing this up before it spirals further out of control, then I must act swiftly. Marcus nods slowly but doesn't meet my gaze fully. It's clear he has his reservations about approaching Serena after everything that happened back then. His hesitation sends another ripple of unease through me. Maybe confronting the past isn't so straightforward after all. Yet, as much as part of me wants to retreat into safe silence, or let someone else lead the charge against whatever ghosts might rise from our shared history, another part urges action instead. A fierce drive for resolution propelling me forward despite lingering doubts. The sound of wheels rolling over linoleum catches my attention. The distant echo sharpens into focus as a nurse wheels by with a patient slumped in a chair beside her. A reminder that life goes on around us, even amidst our tangled emotions and fears. Let's go find her, Marcus finally agrees with a deep breath that seems almost cathartic in its release. Perhaps we're both readying ourselves for whatever storm lies ahead now together. And maybe facing those old shadows anew brings some form of unexpected solace too. We step away from each other momentarily, but find ourselves moving toward the same destination, Serena's room down the hall where uncertainty waits just beyond that threshold, a doorway cloaked in shadows, yet shimmering with hints of light streaming through cracks around its edges. With each step forward comes anticipation, laced with trepidation woven through tangled threads connecting our pasts, all encapsulated within these clipboards, still held tightly within our hands, while time ticks away behind us, like distant echoes reverberating off walls steeped in memories lost among moments never fully resolved. I glance at the clipboard resting on my lap, its edges worn and dog-eared from constant use. The paper feels rough against my fingertips, grounding me in this moment as I fight to remember the last time we were truly together. I hear snippets of laughter in the distance, but those sounds feel like a distant radio tune fading out. Just then, the door swings open. A nurse strides in with urgent energy, her face flushed and eyes darting to each clipboard in hand. She halts mid-sentence, her breath puffing out as if she's been sprinting down the corridor. "There's an emergency," she says, voice taut with urgency. My heart quickens as I absorb her words. I can't help but stiffen. Was this what we had been waiting for? Did it mean more uncertainty ahead? I clutch the clipboard tighter, feeling the cool plastic bite into my palm. In that moment, I decide to step forward and ask about the nature of the emergency. I need clarity amidst chaos before anything else can unravel. Her eyes flicker toward mine, a silent reflection of tension, and she reluctantly nods. The power shifts abruptly. I see other family members murmur in collective worry across the waiting area. Their expressions turn grave as they catch wind of the unfolding situation. The air grows thick with unspoken fears. I wonder if this emergency would change everything or simply serve to amplify our lingering doubts. My stomach tightens at the thought as I prepare myself for whatever comes next. My fingers drum against the notary log, a rapid dance of anxiety that echoes through the chaos around me. Each shift of my weight sends a ripple of unease coursing through my body as I scan the bustling emergency room for something to anchor me. The chaos buzzes like a swarm of angry bees, but my mind is fixated on the log. The faint scent of antiseptic lingers in the air, reminding me of past moments here. This place holds memories I wish I could forget. A nurse brushes by me with purpose, her clipboard tucked tightly under her arm. The way she moves with determination only heightens my sense of disarray. I look down at the notary log again, its pages filled with signatures that feel both foreign and familiar. It strikes me that every signature represents a promise or an obligation. My throat dries as a sudden thought crosses my mind. What if those promises now rest on my shoulders? The door swings open abruptly, and in walks Denise, her face pale and drawn. The sight of her sends a jolt through me. She looks more fragile than I've ever seen her. There is an urgency in her stride as she approaches me swiftly. "Mom," she says breathlessly, glancing over her shoulder as if expecting someone to follow her, "I need to talk to you about Dad." Her words hang in the air like an unsaid prayer. Every part of me wants to reach out and comfort her, yet dread pulls in my stomach. How could we have gotten to this point where conversations about our fathers suddenly felt so heavy? Denise leans closer, lowering her voice. "They found Leonard unconscious at home." Her eyes shimmer with tears that threaten to spill over. The weight of those words crashes into me like an unexpected wave. I'm left reeling from the news while gripping the edge of the log tighter until it digs into my palm. "Did anyone call Samuel?" I ask, fearing that he might not know yet. Denise shakes her head. "No one knows where he is right now." Her lips tremble slightly as she speaks, revealing just how vulnerable she is beneath that tough exterior. I feel a wave of unease wash over me as I think about him, being out there unaware of what's happening to his former partner and my husband. Having shared so much history together complicates things further. There's honor tied up in unspoken agreements and silent understandings. I should call him, I decide aloud, pulling out my phone from my purse with shaky hands. Each step feels monumental as I try to piece together what this means for all of us. Before I can dial his number, Denise shifts nervously beside me and whispers, "What if he doesn't want to come?" Her gaze drops to the floor, avoiding mine like it's suddenly too painful to hold eye contact. "In his heart," I reply while forcing myself to breathe evenly, "he'll want to know." My voice steadies as certainty rises within me, even amidst uncertainty. Just then, an elderly gentleman emerges from behind a curtain wearing a lab coat marked with hospital insignia. He surveys us both carefully before approaching with caution. "Miss Parker?" he asks gently, his tone both professional and warm, an odd juxtaposition that makes me uneasy again. "Yes," I answer hesitantly while trying to read his expression for clues about what he knows or doesn't know yet. He holds out his hand invitingly, but maintains eye contact, his gaze unwavering yet kind. "I'm Mr. Grayson, Leonard's attorney." The name sends chills down my spine. It's not one I'd expected today amidst such turmoil. "Attorney?" Denise repeats incredulously while taking a half step back from him like he's been branded dangerous somehow. "Yes," he confirms steadily without flinching, "from the truth laid bare before us all."
The complications, waiting just beneath the surface of our family ties and obligations. As small talk fades away between us like whispers carried off by the wind, Mr. Grayson continues speaking about Leonard's situation, a mixture of medical details flushed with legal jargon that makes little sense right now. Each word sends electric currents through my veins, as my thoughts race ahead faster than grasping everything at once can allow. What does this mean for our lives? How do we move forward after years spent tangled in each other's destinies? Suddenly determined not only for Denise, but for everyone involved, I make a choice then. We need to get him stabilized first before making any decisions. It comes out stronger than I anticipate, defiance sparking deep within me against whatever forces would pull us apart again. Denise looks at me wide-eyed and stunned, but there's no time left for hesitation now. Too much hangs in balance, already teetering between hope and despair, waiting for courage to tip either way unexpectedly. Mr. Grayson nods solemnly, as if approving my resolve without needing another word exchanged among us three souls caught amidst swirling fragments of fate, intertwined eternally by bloodlines, still standing strong despite recent upheaval, shaking foundational beliefs held dear across generations past. That's when it hits me hard. Every decision weighs heavier than any notary log or signature might suggest. They signify more than mere words sprawled across paper. It binds lives together irrevocably, woven through love and loss, alike enduring challenges, faced ahead, unsure where each path leads next. And just like that, new twist appears. Fresh, off-the-cuff questions arise about Leonard's estate, lingering still unresolved, hanging overhead ominously, waiting patiently until ready finally reveal their truths buried deeper.
The air is still, almost too quiet for a busy emergency room. A tiny scrap of paper, crumpled and forgotten in the corner of a nearby counter, catches my eye. I tilt my head slightly to see if I can make out the details. The tin box receipt I've carried around feels heavier in my pocket than usual, as if the years have added weight to its significance. Denise shifts in her seat, fiddling with the armrest of her chair. Her gaze darts between me and the sliding doors, clearly impatient for news about Marcus. I wish I could give her something more than silence. Samuel sits slumped beside her, his brow furrowed deeply. He looks over at me and gives a slight nod, an acknowledgement of our shared concern. The warmth of his hand brushes against mine, grounding me amidst this whirlpool of anxiety. Suddenly, a nurse bursts through the door with an urgent expression. "We need you to sign these consent forms," she says briskly, while handing me a clipboard filled with papers. Her tone is clipped, as though she's already moved on to the next task. I hold the clipboard tightly, feeling the edges dig into my palms as I scan over the documents. Words jump out at me. Surgery, risks, complications. Each term sends a shiver down my spine. Who else is here? I ask instinctively, desperate to know who might be around us during this chaotic moment. "Just family," she replies tersely, before stepping away to attend to another patient. The implications settle like lead in my stomach as I realize just how many secrets we've buried beneath our family facade. My fingers brush against the receipt tucked inside my pocket again, a reminder of old promises made and broken. Denise's anxious voice breaks through my thoughts. "You okay, Mom?" I force a smile that feels more like an old mask than genuine comfort. "Yeah, just thinking about everything." A wave of nausea rolls through me as I remember what that receipt signifies. The last vacation we took together as a family before everything changed. My mind races back to that trip, laughter mingled with water splashing against beach towels under darkening skies. It was supposed to be a golden memory, yet it turned into another layer of regret, overshadowed by time. "It's been so long since we were all together like that," Denise said softly, her eyes searching mine for understanding. I want to say something reassuring, but instead feel trapped within unspoken truths. In that moment,
I make a decision that shifts everything. I will tell them about the tin box receipt later, but first, Marcus needs us now more than ever. This isn't about me or what happened in the past. As I collect myself and shift towards my kids, there's an unmistakable tension lingering in the air between us, a silent agreement woven from shared struggles and hidden pain. "Let's focus on Marcus," I said firmly while looking each of them in the eye. They nod slowly, but remain guarded, sensing there's still much unsaid among us. As we sit together in uncomfortable proximity, waiting for news on Marcus, I can feel their questions hanging like stagnant air, unvoiced inquiries about family history and loyalty entwined with fear for what lies ahead. Suddenly, thoughts swirl back to that tin box receipt once more. It wasn't just any gift. It represented dreams we had before life became so complicated. "Mom," Denise interrupts my spiraling thoughts again with concern lacing her voice. "What really happened on that trip?" Her question echoes off invisible walls built through years of silence, a fracture suddenly exposed in our carefully curated lives. The challenge rests heavily on my shoulders. Do I reveal everything now, or wait until it all erupts later? Before I can respond properly, Samuel squeezes my hand tighter, a gesture filled with both reassurance and warning all at once. There's an urgency behind his touch, as if he understands what discussing our past means for our present relationships. I think we should talk about it," I finally managed to reply softly, despite feeling every beat throb relentlessly within me like clockwork, ticking down toward an inevitable confrontation. But just then, another nurse walks past us, carrying supplies, her footsteps echoing against tile floors, cutting sharply through our fragile moment together without even glancing back at us. There's still so much left unsaid between us, secrets swirling underneath like currents ready to pull everyone under if not addressed soon enough. But first things first, Marcus needs us right now more than anything else. The weight of revelations looms large overhead, while uncertainty lingers thickly around us. Somehow, suspended within this very hour, where heartbreak intertwines deeply with hope, a paradox shaped by love layered beneath unresolved grief, awaiting recognition someday soon enough. And as we huddle closer during those anxious minutes ticking by one after another, relentlessly without resolution yet still warm with connection, questions begin circulating quietly underfoot. What would happen if they truly understood? What awaits beyond those sliding doors?
I catch a glimpse of a child outside, their bright blue plastic wristband catching the light, stirring echoes of laughter in my mind from days spent at amusement parks with Marcus. The warmth of his small hand in mine, racing from ride to ride, floods back, but quickly fades as I shift my focus to the present, squeezing his small hand tightly as we rushed from ride to ride. The air in Grady ER feels thick as I sit next to Denise. My fingers curl around the edge of my chair, gripping it tightly. The plastic wristband on my own wrist seems to close in tighter with every passing moment. "Mom, you really should reconsider keeping that timeshare," Denise says, her voice steady but edged with concern. She fiddles nervously with her own wristband, glancing at the clock on the wall. "I don't know what else to do," I reply, my voice barely rising above the muffled sounds of activity in the hallway. The words feel heavy, weighed down by countless bills and maintenance fees that have piled up over the years. Denise leans closer, her eyes narrowing. "You could sell it back. We could plan family trips without all that pressure." Her suggestion hangs between us like an unanswered question. I can see she believes this might ease some burden off my shoulders, but I can't shake off the feeling of defeat settling into my bones. Each tick of the clock feels like a reminder of everything I've sacrificed for this vacation spot, a place meant for joy, now overshadowed by obligation. What if it's more than just a financial decision? I find myself asking. My breathing becomes shallow as doubt creeps in. Selling would mean letting go of something tangible that once held meaning. Denise exhales sharply, frustration creeping into her expression. It's not working for you anymore. Do you even enjoy using it? Her question lingers in the air like smoke from a fire, thick and suffocating. I want to argue but can't form a coherent response. Memories flash through my mind of summers spent there when laughter echoed against the walls. I thought it was supposed to be our escape, I managed to say finally, looking away from her piercing gaze. My fingers release their grip on the chair and instead brush across the cold surface of the clipboard beside me, its edges sharp against my fingertips. Denise watches me closely, her brows furrow as she opens her mouth to speak again but hesitates. A nurse suddenly pushes past us, breaking our moment. The sound of wheels against linoleum pulls me back to reality with jarring clarity. "Mom," she finally says after clearing her throat, "we need to think about what makes sense for you." I blink at her and take a deep breath, feeling a wave of heat rise within me as anger surges towards myself for clinging onto an illusion of happiness tied to that property. Yes, it was once filled with laughter and sandcastles built with Marcus, but those days felt so far away now. "I'll think about it," I answer vaguely, though uncertainty coats my words like a bitter pill. My stomach twists as if grappling with something unspeakable. The burden of honor weighs heavily upon me. As we sit in silence again, I glance down at my wrist, where my own wristband rests snugly against my skin once more, a reminder of how things changed over time despite our best intentions. Memories shift like shadows beyond reach. Where did all that joy go? Denise studies me intently before shifting slightly away in thought, her lips pursed together almost protectively. With each passing second, another wave crashes into me. Regret begins swirling around as conversations flood back from family gatherings where timeshare plans were discussed in hushed tones amidst laughter. "What if we—" Denise starts again, but then falters suddenly, biting her lip hard enough that I wonder whether she truly believes what she wants to say next will matter or change anything at all. My heart races, not from hope, but fear, a palpable tension filling up every inch around us like an impending storm threatening to break loose overhead without warning, leaving both questions and answers hanging precariously in balance. What's left unsaid fills me with unease. Could letting go open wounds too tender still? Or would holding on to false promises only deepen them further? I watched Grady's fingers tugging at the edge of his plastic wristband, the way a child might pick at a loose thread on their favorite shirt. It was a distraction for him, a way to avoid facing what lay between us. I could feel the air thickening as he shifted in his seat, uncertainty wrapping us like an old quilt. He said, "Mom, maybe it's better to just move on." Quietly, not meeting my eyes. His gaze focused instead on that wristband, the bright color contrasting sharply against his pale skin. The truth hung in the air, heavy and unspoken. "Move on? You mean pretend?" I felt my heart race at the weight of his words. Every ounce of me wanted to reach out and pull him closer. Instead, I clenched my hands into fists, fingernails digging into my palms. He replied, "Some things can't be fixed," finally looking up. There was a flicker of anger in his expression, mixed with sadness that tore at me more than I expected. I realized then how far apart we had drifted. I took a breath, grounding myself in the moment. What if we tried? My voice came out steadier than I felt. What if we confronted this together? His brow furrowed as if he were weighing my suggestion against something darker lurking inside him. A moment passed before he offered a slight nod, uncertainty still evident in his eyes. But just then the sound of footsteps outside drew our attention. Someone was approaching, and whatever decision we might make would soon be interrupted by an unexpected visitor. I see a silver pen resting on the counter, its polished surface reflecting the surrounding chaos. I pick it up and roll it between my fingers, feeling the cool metal against my skin. The waiting room is filled with a low murmur of voices, punctuated by the rustle of paper and the shuffling of feet. My thoughts swirl around like leaves caught in a gust of wind. Selling the timeshare was meant to free us from burdens, not trap me in this moment of uncertainty. Samuel shifts uncomfortably beside me, his eyes scanning the room. I remember when he used to take charge in situations like this, but now he seems lost. I can sense the tension creeping into my muscles as I watch him avoid eye contact. Suddenly, a familiar face steps through the door, the last person I expected to see here. The waiting room is filled with a low murmur of voices, punctuated by the rustle of paper and the shuffling of feet. My thoughts swirl around like leaves caught in a gust of wind. Selling the timeshare was meant to free us from burdens, not trap me in this moment of uncertainty. Samuel shifts uncomfortably beside me, his eyes scanning the room. I remember when he used to take charge in situations like this, but now he seems lost. I can sense the tension creeping into my muscles as I watch him avoid eye contact. Suddenly, a familiar face steps through the door, the last person I expected to see here. Serena Cole, an old friend from days gone by, stands there looking just as I remembered her. The sharpness in her gaze cuts through my anxiety like a knife. "Hey, Helen," she says softly, walking over. There is an edge to her voice that makes me feel uneasy. "We need to talk about something." I grip the silver pen tighter, feeling its weight anchor me as I consider her words. Serena's presence feels both comforting and alarming at once. She holds secrets that could change everything. "What is it?" I asked cautiously, trying to keep my voice steady despite the unease churning inside me. "It's about your timeshare." Her eyes dart around, as if worried someone might overhear. "There's something you don't know." The air shifts around us, charged with unspoken tension as my heart races at her implication. What did she mean? I lean closer, drawn in by curiosity, but also fear. She has documents, and she pulls out a worn folder from her bag. The paper crinkles loudly in the quiet atmosphere between us. "You need to see these." I gently place the silver pen down on the counter and reach for the folder instead. The rough texture of the paper under my fingertips sends a jolt of anxiety through me. What could be hidden within those pages? Before I can open it, Serena places a hand on mine. It's firm yet reassuring, an unexpected gesture that catches me off guard. "Trust me, this is important." My instinct is to withdraw, but instead, I nod slowly while considering what this means for our family and for everything we've sacrificed for that ridiculous property. Just then, Samuel clears his throat loud enough for us both to turn our attention back to him. What's going on? His brow is furrowed with confusion mixed with concern as he shifts in his seat. Serena meets his gaze but quickly looks away again, a crack forming in whatever resolve she had before walking in here. The trust we built over time feels fragile now. Questions hang heavy in the air. "I'll explain," she says quietly, but firmly addressing Samuel directly. But first, she hesitates, as though weighing her words carefully before continuing again with deliberate intent. That decisive moment falters when an announcement blares through the speakers overhead, a name followed by a string of medical jargon that sounds ominous rather than routine. My stomach drops. There's an unsettling sense that something more significant is unfolding around us. Serena's grip loosens on me just slightly, but still lingers, an invitation or perhaps an entrapment. "What are you not telling us?" Samuel presses forward impatiently while shifting his weight again nervously, every muscle tensed for battle or flight. "I'm afraid if I reveal too much too quickly, it might put you all at risk," Serena responds hesitantly while glancing towards the exit doors, as though expecting someone else to come charging through them any second now. An icy chill runs down my spine. Suddenly, selling that timeshare doesn't seem so freeing anymore. Fear begins clawing its way back into my chest at this revelation, a reminder that even well-intentioned actions can lead one down treacherous paths
obscured by time and choices made without full knowledge. "Just tell us what's going on," I insist now more urgently than before, while drawing nearer and yet pushing myself further away from these encroaching shadows cast long across our lives with each revelation pending discovery. Serena takes a deep breath and opens that folder slowly, revealing papers filled with contractual language and ominous clauses pointing towards possible legal ramifications, stemming from decisions we never realized would haunt us later on down this road, marked by uncertainty, woven tightly together with threads spun from dreams shattered along with hopes dashed aside like discarded scraps, left clinging desperately at life's edges, waiting for resolution they may never find again. And in that tense moment, shared among three pairs of eyes locked onto one another, an unsettling truth settles heavily upon all our shoulders, asking quietly, what happens next?
The audit checklist lies open on the table, its pages crinkled from being reviewed too many times. I remember sitting at the dining room table last month, pen in hand, jotting down everything that needed to be addressed. My fingers tap nervously against the cold metal of my watch as I sit in the waiting area, surrounded by voices that ebb and flow like waves. They chatter about mundane medical issues while I mentally prepare for my confrontation with the lawyer. Samuel's brow is tightly knit with worry as he shifts in his chair beside me. "Helen, you don't have to go through this alone," he says, though I can see the fatigue etched in his face. His hand reaches out, brushing against my arm, a gentle reminder of our shared burden. I feel a knot tightening in my stomach. The stakes are high, and this isn't just about finances. It's about honor, which seems to hang precariously above us like a storm cloud, ready to unleash its fury. The weight of the situation presses down on my chest as I glance back at the checklist resting on the table. Suddenly, Denise enters the room, her presence electric and unsettling. She strides over with purpose, her heels clicking sharply against the floor tiles. My pulse quickens as she approaches. I recall how she had promised to stand by me, but now feels like an unexpected twist in this already tangled narrative. "Are you ready?" she asks, her tone clipped. I sense an underlying tension between her and Samuel, both of whom have their own agendas regarding this confrontation. Their gazes clash momentarily before shifting away from each other, like two magnets repelling one another. "Ready?" My voice comes out more brittle than intended. I draw in a breath, trying to steady myself as Denise offers me a tight-lipped smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Her confidence feels brimming, yet precarious, like a glass teetering on the edge of a countertop. I fold and unfold the corners of the checklist nervously as I weigh my next steps. The information contained within could change everything. A misstep might alter not just my fate, but also Samuel's standing within our community. "Let's just get this over with," I say, squaring my shoulders. The decision settles inside me like a stone dropped into still water. Ripples will undoubtedly follow. Denise nods curtly and heads toward the door marked consultation room. I follow behind her, each step echoing louder in my ears than the last. Samuel lingers a beat longer before trailing after us. As we enter the room, it feels sterile, too clean for what's about to unfold. A large wooden desk dominates one side, while three chairs sit neatly before it. They seem to mock me with their simplicity. Leonard sits at one end of that desk, his expression neutral, but his eyes sharp as they flicker over us like searchlights, scanning for flaws or weaknesses. He gestures for us to sit, and I feel a wave of unease wash over me as I settle into one of the chairs. "Thanks for coming." Leonard begins smoothly enough, but beneath his calm demeanor lies something more sinister, an air of calculation that makes me uneasy. He places his hands together on top of his desk as if preparing to dissect us piece by piece. "I want this resolved quickly," I state firmly, surprising even myself with my own resolve. The checklist rests heavily in front of me. It feels like a lifeline tethered to honor itself, a promise that must be fulfilled. Leonard arches an eyebrow at my sudden boldness, but doesn't respond right away. Instead, there's an almost imperceptible shift in power dynamics as he realizes I'm not here solely to appease him anymore. The air thickens with unspoken tensions hanging like loose threads, just waiting for someone, anyone, to pull them taut and unravel everything beneath the surface.
Denise leans forward slightly, as if sensing momentum building in our favor. Her gaze moves between Leonard and me cautiously, as if trying to gauge how far I'm willing to push against him today. The implications swirl around us like shadows creeping closer with every heartbeat. There's more than just legal matters at stake here. It's family honor, and only one side can come out unscathed. In that charged atmosphere, filled with uncertainty and palpable tension stretching thin between us all, I realize this might be more than just a legal battle. It might become something deeply personal for all involved. I glance back at Leonard, whose gaze has softened just marginally since we entered the room, the slightest crack in his facade inviting further probing. But then again, perhaps it's merely another tactic meant to lure me into complacency again. As if sensing my hesitation lingering beneath layers of bravado layered on top anxiety gripping tightly around me still, I know this will require finesse now more than ever before we walk out defeated or worse off than when we first came inside this room today. What happens next hinges on choices made right now, choices tethered tightly around pride versus survival, woven deep within our family tapestry, not threads easily pulled apart without consequence or regret looming close behind every move made from here on out.
The clock on the wall ticks away, its rhythmic sound almost mocking against the backdrop of uncertainty. I wrap my fingers around the edge of a clipboard, my knuckles whitening under the pressure. I can't shake the feeling of dread that sinks into my chest. Selling the timeshare was supposed to free me from obligation, but now I'm here, waiting for news about Serena. Every tick of that clock sends ripples through my resolve. I glance at the wristband they placed on her wrist after she was brought in. Its cheap plastic feels like a chain rather than a lifeline. Samuel stands nearby, his arms crossed tightly against his chest as if he could hold himself together that way. His face is drawn, worry etched into every line. He looks at me as if expecting some sort of answer I don't have. "Did you call anyone?" he finally asks, breaking the silence that wraps around us like thick fog. "I haven't," I reply, my voice barely above a whisper. The thought of calling Leonard churns in my stomach. What would he say? Marcus enters the waiting room then, his scrubs slightly rumpled. I can see the fatigue in his eyes, but also an urgent spark beneath it. He stops when he sees us and scans the room as if searching for a missing piece. "Is she all right?" My voice wavers, betraying more fear than I want to show. "Stable," Marcus says with a nod, but something shifts in his tone, a weighted pause before he continues. "But we need to discuss her condition." My heart races at his words while I step closer to him, instinctively clutching my clipboard tighter as if it could absorb the shock of what he's about to say. "Serena's been diagnosed with complications related to her diabetes," Marcus reveals gently but firmly. "She needs immediate treatment." Each word lands heavy in the air between us, making it hard to breathe. My mind races back to our last family gathering where she seemed fine, laughing with Denise over drinks while the kids played nearby. "What do you mean complications?" Samuel interrupts sharply, anger flashing across his features. "There are several factors involved," Marcus explains, raising his hand slightly as if trying to calm an unexpected storm brewing between us all. "Her blood sugar levels are dangerously unstable." The reality slams into me like a door thrown open in a strong wind. How could I have missed this? I grip my clipboard harder, its edges digging into my palm as panic briefly tightens around my throat. "We need someone to make decisions quickly." Marcus's gaze turns serious as he looks at both Samuel and me expectantly. I swallow hard and take a breath. I'll take care of it. My decision comes out clearer than expected despite the tumult swirling inside me. Both men look at me in surprise. It's not often they let me take charge without hesitation or doubt. Samuel's brows knit together while Marcus nods slowly, acknowledging my choice. "Are you sure?" Samuel asks cautiously, concern threading through his tone as if testing whether I'm truly ready for this weighty responsibility. "Yes," I confirm firmly, though I can feel every nerve in my body hum with anxiety from having made such a bold declaration. The atmosphere shifts subtly as confidence settles within me like stone dropped into still water. Ripples form from my choice, the kind that demands action from others now stirred by what I've decided. Stillness hangs for just a moment longer until Denise appears in the waiting doorway with hurried steps that echo softly against linoleum floors. Her face is pale yet determined. She seems poised to join this crucial moment unfolding among us.
"I heard," she says breathlessly, before catching her breath and looking directly at me. "What do we need?" It dawns on me how much has changed since selling that timeshare, how freeing it felt, and yet how deeply anchored I've become by familial ties, once more pulling at my heartstrings after years of cutting costs for everyone else. "Let's gather information first," I suggest cautiously, while gauging their reactions. Uncertainty flickers across Denise's features for only a second before she meets my gaze squarely. "I'll find out everything we need," she promises without hesitation, as if immersing herself into this task will somehow shield us all from further pain, or perhaps reveal paths ahead uncharted before today. As we delve deeper into planning and discussing potential treatment options for Serena's recovery ahead of us, all thoughts blur together. The weight of urgency fills every crevice between breaths shared within this group, bound by love yet fraught with tension running high through our shared history, lingering just below surface glare like hidden rocks submerged beneath rushing water. It strikes me now how intertwined we've become over time. One choice leads to another along twisted corridors laden with secrets carried like heavy stones, resting upon shoulders long bent under burdens unknown until this very moment arrived. Unexpectedly thrusting uncertainties starkly forward amid familiar faces once shrouded partially behind veils worn comfortably through years spent together both joyful and tragic alike, a tapestry woven intricately through life itself, forming connections stronger than anything tangible enough to touch, even when tested against storms gathered outside, beckoning fierce winds blowing cold relentless amidst those enduring shadows lurking nearby, silently awaiting revelations yet untold, lurking beyond reach, somehow demanding attention ever more immediate, each second ticking past, swiftly towards unknown destinations, always returning back home again, seeking shelter within hearts entwined forevermore. Then suddenly, I catch sight again of that wristband clasped delicately around Serena's wrist, reflecting hope and vulnerability side by side. A reminder not merely shackling her, but rather encompassing complexities yet unfurling, endlessly unfolding possibilities, still waiting patiently outside harsh realities, looming ever closer within reach, awaiting decisions, manifesting courage born anew, rising brighter somehow against darkened skies overhead, igniting flames alive, reaching desperate these moments, straining, stretched thin, fragile, needing mending too, mirroring fragile lives tangled desperately grasping forth, breathing ingenuity towards tomorrow.